Hi everyone, today we're going to be exploring Lennox Castle, but it's a bit of a hike. We've already hiked about a mile and you wouldn't even know. It's somewhere in the back of these trees and we've got to go up there. So I'm going to pause the video and then we'll come back, and hopefully when we get there we'll be at Lennox Castle. But look at them views, wowee. Very rainy day today. So this is Lennox Castle. This is obviously being some type of gatehouse. And it's absolutely peeing down. Just gonna get some of this architecture in. Absolutely stunning, but it's absolutely peeing it down. Go and take a look through here. Oh, it's rain. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, I couldn't have picked a worse day to come exploring today. Well, I suppose they say Scotland, rainy city. Are you coming in? I'll just get round here.
Lennox Castle is a ruined A-listed building near Lennoxtown in Scotland. It lies approximately 13 miles north of Glasgow. It was built as a lavish Scottish baronial mansion in the 1830s. It later served as the UK's largest institution for people with learning disabilities before closing in 2002. The estate in the original Woodhead house date back to the 16th century, occupied by the ancient Lennox and Kincaid families. Between 1837 and 1841, John Lennox Kincaid commissioned the prominent Glasgow architect David Hamilton to build a brand new grand mansion. Constructed from striking red sandstone in the Scottish Baronial style, the lavish castle served as a private residence and a symbol of 19th century aristocratic wealth. In 1927, the Glasgow Corporation purchased the estate, During World War I, the castle was used as a military hospital before undergoing a £1 million conversion to open as a psychiatric and residential facility in 1936. Initially heralded as forward-thinking, the facility sprawled across the Campsie foothills and eventually housed over 1,200 and at times up to 1,700 patients with learning and physical disabilities. The main castle building was utilised as a nurses' home. A separate maternity unit operated on the grounds from the 1940s to the 1960s. Notably, the singer Lulu and footballer John Brown were born here. By the 1980s and 1990s, the facility became severely overcrowded, understaffed and underfunded. Reports detailed extreme malnourishment, neglect and systemic abuse. Following the shift forward, care in the community, the hospital was officially shut down in 2002. Since its abandonment, the structure has suffered significantly from neglect and a severe fire in 2008, unfortunately leaving it a crumbling shell. Despite the tragic history of the hospital, the site remains an important historical landmark in the evolution of Scottish mental health care. Today, a large portion of the former estate has been repurposed, most notably serving as the training ground for Celtic Football Club. For a look at the abandoned ruins in the main castle, you can see it all around and surrounding estate near the Campsie Hills. A lot has changed since Scotland closed its largest institution with people with learning disabilities, but for some, its shameful legacy lives on. By the 1980s, standards of care had deteriorated to the extent that a study by the British Medical Journal found residents to be dangerously underweight and malnourished. The hospital's medical director, Alistair Sims, said in 1986 he had never worked in such a worse pit. Hughie McIntyre spent 16 years in Lennox Castle and he never knew why. It was during this time Hughie McIntyre was a confused teenager, wondering what he had done to deserve being put into Lennox Castle. Hughie was adopted as a baby, but later his adoptive parents sent him to Lennox Castle and he never saw them again. I didn't know why I was there or what I did to deserve this, he says. No one came to see me. I had no family or friends. Hughie says he had no idea how he would ever be let out of the hospital. Hughie was met up by a news editor and a mental health nurse, Frances Brown, at the ruins of Lennox Castle. The road doesn't take you all the way to the castle anymore. It's about a mile walk uphill past Celtic FC's training ground into a walled driveway. Rounding the corner, Hughie got his final glimpse of the castle for 25 years. He stopped and held his head in his hands. Hughie returned to the castle for the first time in 25 years. I was in here for 16 years, he says. I lost the will to survive. It's scary coming back into this place. I remembered my life in here. I was tortured, beaten, kicked, heavily punched, and I had severe injuries. I get nightmares thinking about it. Hughie had little privacy in the hospital and rules were strict. They let you out, but you had to be back in the ward for 8 o'clock at night, he says. Then you've got to remain until your bed until the staff come on duty, and the staff don't tap you or wake you. They grab the bottom of the bed and start bouncing the bed up and down to get you up. When you're up, you stand at the bottom edge of the bed until you get a head count, and if you're not in the ward, they'll go looking for you. Hughie says he did run away but was caught and dragged back to the ward. He said they kept hitting and hitting me, he says. I couldn't bear it. It was only once the hospital was in the process of being decommissioned in the late 90s, Hughie found he had a shot at leaving. He met Frances Brown, a former mental health nurse who had spent several weeks at Lennox Castle as part of her training. Frances Brown spent some of her training at Lennox Castle. She says it was probably the worst experience of my professional career and probably my life. I remember how badly it affected me. People were just not treated as human beings. During the late 90s, social care was in the process of a radical transformation. Institutions such as Lennox Castle were out of favour and care in the community was in. The Scottish Government recognised that holding people in these large institutions was not helping the very people it was intended to, and they had to close. Although care in the community was associated with an amount of scaremongering, its purpose was to listen to the needs of the person and get what they needed to live as a member of their community. Years later, Frances returned to Lennox Castle to help in the decommissioning process. She says, I'll never forget the day I came back, the cold sweat that came over me, coming up that driveway again, just remembering all of that emotion and feelings and things I was feeling here, and I was the person who was able to go home at night. Dr. Sam Smith was involved in helping residents establish what they needed to move on. Dr. Sam Smith was also involved in helping residents establish what they needed to move on from being an inpatient to being a productive part of society. She says, I thought what we were doing when we were closing the hospital was not just helping those people who lived there move out, but we were also ensuring that other families and individuals didn't have places like Lennox Castle as the only choice available if things got difficult. NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde told the BBC that Lennox Castle was closed in April 2002, as it was recognised that institutional care provided was outdated and not support a good quality of life. It said in the early 1990s, the Health Board actively developed a resettlement programme with partner councils and support providers to ensure that people living in Lennox Castle were supported to live in their own homes in their communities. The Health Board funded housing associations to purchase suitable housing and transferred funds to local councils to provide the care and support needed. Dr. Smith says the large institutions may have closed, but she feels there's still much to learn about how people with learning difficulties and disabilities are supported. We need to be better, she said. All the potential lessons that could have been learned from the process of decommissioning the institutions haven't really been taken on board as well as they could. We could do so much better than we are. The ruins of Lennox Castle cast a haunting shadow on the landscape and our social history. Though the institution is gone, its past remains deeply embedded in the memories of patients and staff brave enough to share their experiences to help shape a better future for social care.
They're dog gargoyles. Look like dogs. We really need a drone. anybody knows anything about these gargoyles on here, I'd really appreciate it if you could let us know in the comments. Just gonna take it all wide. It's a bloody miserable day today. As you can see, Lennox Castle is an absolute mess. I getting tripped on out of a tree. Absolutely awful today. But another one ticked off the list. They are so freaky. Look at the faces on it. And if I can get a little bit more. There you go. They're just looking at us, laughing at us, and I really don't like them. Yeah.
You don't need to touch this. Now you'll keep an eye out behind you.
It's just absolutely falling down and teeming down on us as well. I believe this was used as an asylum years ago. Gonna have to do a little bit of research. But as you can see, Decay is literally taken over this building. All of the trees, everything. Oh, missed a bit. The graffiti in here is absolutely madness.
will be
Don't know if these are big toilets.
might be.
Oh, that's where we've just been, yeah. You see the old, that would have been insulated with horsehair on the wall, the old piping.
Your dark cells, nestle.
Meat, your dar cells muscle. Aren't you? It's another one of them pulley things as well.
Going down? Yeah. We'll go down.
Bird's nest. What are you doing? Guys, just look at this. This is a huge, huge site.